excited to announce the opening of a new Roosters in Beaver Creek. If you're energetic, friendly, with a positive attitude, Roosters is the perfect career path for you. Apply online at roosterswings.com or stop by the Beaver Creek Roosters this Thursday or Saturday between noon and 6. Roosters, a fun, casual place to work.
No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, happy Tuesday. Welcome in. I'm Justin Kinner, hanging out with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, let's see. No Kev Nash today, and it's a shorter show. So again, you're stuck with only me today, which could be a bad thing for you, but you're only stuck with me for about 40 minutes or so, as we're going to hand it off to Tommy Thrawn, the Cowboy, coming up here around the corner, as we'll dive, of course, into for Red Spring Training action. Again, the Cincinnati Reds will be kicking off the season, as well as the rest of Major League Baseball coming up in about 9 days from now, as the again. Reds open up the season at the Braves. All right, a little different this year, of course, due to the delayed start, due to the selfish players and owners going back and forth. I'm in a bad mood today. I just found out something that just irks me, and luckily I only have to be on the air for about 40 minutes, so that leaves me 2 less hours of saying something that'll get me in trouble. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's no Kev Nash today to keep me in line. I'll open up with this. Look, college basketball, college athletics as a whole, I get it. The transfer portal, it's supposed to be used for these student athletes to be able to better their situations, but we're all selfish human beings. So if I'm not being supportive and I sound like a child throwing a temper tantrum today, maybe that's exactly what it is. But look, I hate the transfer portal. Can I just be honest with you? I hate it. If that makes me selfish, if that makes me a guy that doesn't support student athletes being able to pick where they want to go, just like us common folk, then so be it. I'm a fan at the end of the day, just like you. Not everything has to get so philosophical. We don't always have to try and do this. Well, we got to support these student athletes as they can go and pursue these opportunities. Well, maybe, but I'm an angry, passionate fan today. So you got to hear me out. You got to deal with my temper tantrum today, and then I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But everyone knows, okay, this city, it's a Dayton Flyers city. It'll never change, and I don't think it should. I'm not here to do that. But Wright State is a school that I'm very passionate about, and they finally were able to get a run going this year where they put the program on the map. Got their first NCAA tournament win. A very young, at least I shouldn't say young, but a lot of underclassmen, if you will, made up this roster, and they were supposed to be able to bring this core back and be able to hit the ground running and potentially have arguably the best season in the history of the program. Grant Basile, the 6'10 center, of course, from Wisconsin, he ended up, entering the transfer portal last week. I mean, not even 3 days after the Wright State Raiders get knocked out by the 1 seed Arizona in the NCAA tournament. He announces that obviously you're not dumb to this. Knew it was a possibility. Then Tanner Holden announces that he's going. And I'm supposed to say, I've been kind of sitting here trying to figure out how the heck I'm going to do this. And am I going to be the media guy that comes on here and says, well, I'm really happy for him. Congratulations on a great season. Go on. No. The sports radio hosted me. Tanner Holden, congratulations. I'm proud of you. Thank you for everything you've done for the program. But the fan in me is, really? You're at Wright State for 3-4 years, part of a historical season, have a chance for everyone to be tuning in to you. You're the face of the program now, and you bounce so that you can go join a bigger program and be one of many Tanner Holdens. And I don't know. I'm being very immature here. I get that. I know that there is a lot better ways to be able to handle this, but I'm not handling it very well, and that's fine. Because it's frustrating. There was a chance for that team to be really special next year, and the fan in me is the one reacting on this mic right now, not the professional sports talk radio host. I'm not being that today because I'm a little irritated. Tanner Holden enters the transfer portal. Grant Basile enters the transfer portal. If you have those two coming back next year along with Trey Calvin, Wright State is going to have one magical, great season. So anyways, I'm done bitching about that. It is what it is. I'm a fan. I'm annoyed. It's irritating. It would irritate you guys as well. I know Dayton Flyers fans, you were all holding your breath when the season ended because Deron Holmes, that's a big name. You don't know what the heck, could have been involved in the fact that he could potentially enter the transfer portal. He didn't. He's coming back, and the Flyers get to experience one heck of a magical season next year. Good for them. Good for Anthony Grant, good for the Flyers. You have guys that, want to stick together and be a part of building it, and I appreciate that. And I'm not saying that that's not what's going on at Wright State, but I'm a little irritated today, so excuse me. Anyways, let's move on. 518-1410, by the way, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. And with that being said, I want to switch gears over to the NFL side of things as we currently sit here, because it was announced earlier today, and I found this interesting. It was announced earlier today that the overtime rules in the National Football League are different now. They've approved the change. So now, of course, everyone remembers what happened in the playoffs last year. You had that one of the best games I've ever watched. It was the Bills and the Chiefs. It was obviously Patrick Mahomes against Josh Allen, the two top quarterbacks in the National Football League. And it was just a heavyweight fight, blow for blow, punch for punch. It was an unbelievable game. Both quarterbacks could not be stopped, except Josh Allen was stopped, and it was not the Chiefs defense that got the stop. It was the overtime rules that got the stop. Well, according to the rules earlier, and of course that led to controversy about, it's not fair. Both teams should be able to have a possession in overtime. And I just get so irritated and sick and tired of that conversation, because I think that football gets in its own damn way, and it makes everything more difficult than it has to be. When the NBA, forget the NBA, just basketball in general, when basketball goes to overtime, you put 10 fresh minutes back up on the clock, and you play your little hearts out. Nothing's different. 3-point shot, still a 3-point shot. The layup is 2 points. A dunk is 2 points. A free throw is 1. 2 free throws is 2 points. I mean, come on. It's pretty damn simple. It's just overtime. It's extra time. You just put more time up on the clock to determine a winner. It's not that hard. Basketball, they don't make all the greatest decisions either, but they make it pretty damn easy. Overtime is overtime. It's just extra time. Extra innings in baseball, although they get a little cute with the ghost runner. I don't know why they call it a ghost runner. I can clearly see the mofo standing on second base. He's not a ghost. I can clearly see him. But the runner on second, okay, I guess that's coming back from what I read the other day. So now there'll be an extra runner on second base, right off the bat in extra innings. I kind of liked it. It added that little extra urgency, if you will, but I thought it was still kind of gimmicky. That it was sticky. I don't like it, because I just think that if you play 9 innings of baseball and you cannot determine a winner, you go to extra innings. The 10th inning should be played the exact same way as the 9th and the 8th and the 7th and the 6th, and you can count. Why do we have to do this thing where we try to ruin stuff that's not broken? If the NFL, if college football in general, if you go to overtime, put 5 minutes up, put 10 minutes up, put a whole additional quarter up, and play that quarter as if it was the fourth quarter. It's really not that hard. And don't waste my time with the injuries. You got to worry about the health of the players. Stop it. The NFL doesn't give two rips about the health of the players. There's a reason that the NFL did absolutely everything they could to make sure that games and practices in the season went off without a hitch during a global pandemic. Not that I'm against that. I'm just saying, stop acting like the NFL cares about the safety of the players. They care about their money. That's it. So stop acting like, the only reason that they're doing these types of gimmicky overtimes is so that, because they got to be careful, because these big, strong gladiator men, they can't handle playing a few extra minutes of football. Give me a break. Give me a break. Treat overtime like it's an additional quarter. You don't have to put 10 fresh minutes up on there. And if it takes 2 overtimes, then so be it. I just get irritated. For one, you got to understand this. They average about 1 tie a year, right? So for those out there that say, well, you can't just put a full 10 fresh minutes up on there and tell them they got to play to the very end of this 10-minute clock and then risk going in to double overtime and have to play an additional 10 minutes. Okay, now you're being dramatic. We average about 1 tie a year. If one game out of the 100 or 200, 300, however many games are played out of the 200 plus games that are played every single season, if one of those happens to be a game that goes into double overtime, then so be it. Then so be it. It doesn't happen often enough that you have to sit there and totally come up with these stupid little gimmicky, now you're going to get, full possession, and then you're going to get it at the 40, and then you're going to have to kick 5 field goals, and whoever makes the most field goals wins. Stop. Football, you're too damn smart for this stuff to be making stupid decisions. So here's what the new overtime rule consists of. Both teams are assured of a possession in playoff overtime with the rules change approved by the NFL owners. Here's the other problem I have with that. It's for playoffs only. Why is it that you play an entire 17-week regular season under certain rules and then have to change the rules when you get to the postseason? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense whatsoever. That's like saying in the NBA, You can shoot 3-pointers all regular season, but when you get to the playoffs, we're taking the 3-point line out. Now, maybe that's a little drastic of a comparison for me, but you see the point. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And I think it's kind of ridiculous. I just think that we make these things way too difficult. It is really not that hard. Just put additional time up on the clock and play to the end of that of the time that you put up on there. So this is Kevin Seifert, ESPN staff writer. NFL owners approved a modified proposal for overtime Tuesday that will guarantee each team a possession, but only in the postseason. Why are we changing rules for the postseason and differentiating it from the regular season? You play 17 weeks of football one way just to get to the postseason and play it a different way? No. If it's good enough for the postseason, it's good enough for the regular season. So if I got to decide, if it was up to Kinner, if the NFL finally came to their wits and said, you know who the smartest man in the world is? It's Kinner. Let's give Kinner a call. Ring, ring. Hello, it's Kinner. And they're like, oh, we got the smartest man in the world on the line right now. Kinner, help us out with the overtime rules. I'm going to say straight up, I'll just put 10 minutes up on the clock and play to the end of overtime. And then if you're still tied, then put 10 more minutes up and just play until you have a winner. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. Trying to do this gimmicky, well, you get a possession and you get a possession. And if both of you don't score on either of those possessions, then the next person that scores wins. But you have to do it by a touchdown. And if you do it by a touchdown, the game's over. If you kick a field goal, then the other team gets a chance at it. What are we doing? Why do we got to make this so damn difficult? Not a fan of it. The rule for regular season games, which allows the team with the first possession to win if it scores a touchdown, will remain unchanged. I think that the overtimes in college, I think that's about probably the dumbest overtime in all of overtimes. Okay. But in basketball, 4 quarters, 2 halves, it's all tied up. You just put time up on the clock and you play to the end until you have a winner, whoever has the most points at the end of that time. It's common sense. Baseball, you play 9 innings. Tied at 4 runs apiece. That's fine. We'll go into the 10th and we'll play the 10th inning like we did the 9th and like the 8th and like the 7th and the 6th. And you do it till you have a winner. What are we doing? It just irritates me. And I'm sorry, I'm in a weird bad mood today just because I got some news I didn't like. So there's that. But 518-1410. 518-1410. David Shaw says, because everyone cried about things not being fair, should have left overtime the way it used to be. Shaw, what was the overtime before? Because they changed the stuff so much. I don't even remember. I just find all overtime rules ridiculous and stupid in football. As simple as that. Like, we just make it harder than it has to be. The NFL last year, I mean, that rule, by the way, the rule was so just idiotic that the first team that scores a touchdown in overtime, that's the winner. So you robbed Josh Allen of a chance to be, and by the way, it's not just Josh Allen. I don't feel bad for Josh Allen, but from a business perspective, if you were the National Football League, your rules kept a guy like Josh Allen. So it was the sudden death. First score one, Damon Hahn, thank you. He says sudden death. Okay, cool. So with that being said, the NFL rules before, okay, of sudden death, you literally, those dumb rules kept a star from getting the ball to come down and make a historic play, a historic play to go head to head with Patrick Mahomes. Why? The NFL, who basically does everything perfect. I like, there's really not a whole lot to complain about the NFL, which is why I'm so passionate about a dumb overtime rule. If the NFL had all the issues that baseball did, the last thing I would care about is, a ghost runner on second. Okay. I don't care about the extra inning rules for baseball because they have so many other issues that they need to address before I really get that passionate about extra inning rules in baseball. But for football, there really isn't anything to really complain about. There's parity in the NFL. This is the healthiest that the league has been as far as quarterback is concerned and stars. I mean, ratings have never been higher. Look, revenue's never been higher for the NFL. They're killing it. So it's not like this is a league that doesn't know what they're doing. But it's like you're so close to being perfect if you just got your head out of your ass and decided that, hey, we're going to do this overtime thing a lot easier, a lot simpler, more common sense way. Has anyone ever complained about more football? No, I haven't. I know you wouldn't. That Bills-Chiefs game, are you a Bills fan? I know you guys are not. I mean, we might have a Bills fan or two listening. Are any of you Chiefs fans? We might have a Chiefs fan or two listening. I don't think so. I think it's all Browns, Bengals around here with a couple Steelers and some other fan bases. But I'm pretty sure none of you are Bills or Chiefs fans. But like me, and I'm not a Bills or Chiefs fan, I would have done anything to continue to watch that game go on. I didn't want that game to end. But if it did end, it needed to end because there were zeros up on the clock and one team had more points than the other. It's common sense. It's simple stuff. It's as easy as that. What are we doing? Yeah, I see you, Mark Smith. He says, who day? Yeah, we all know who your team is, buddy. Yeah, I get it. But all right, so I'm solo today. So I throw out the phone number, 518-1410. Thoughts on this overtime rule? I don't like it, mainly because they're making it more harder than it has to be. We need to stop adding this gimmicky, shticky stuff. Like, this isn't the XFL. This isn't some weird spring professional football league that's just made up with a bunch of players that aren't good enough to play in the NFL. We don't have to do NFL. You don't have to do this. And the one point that I will not tolerate is, well, these players, it's taking a toll on their body. You are playing football. You added an extra game in the regular season, but we can't add 5 extra minutes on the clock? Give me a damn break. We'll be back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Update your home with great flooring from Menards. With hundreds of flooring options and top brands like Tarkett, you'll find the perfect flooring to give your home a fresh, new look. Laminate flooring is durable and scratch-resistant. Sheet vinyl and vinyl plank are waterproof and easy to install. Get 11% off everything, including Tarkett flooring, now at Menards. Good through April 2nd. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Are you ready?
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us, no matter how big or small your business is. Earn back when you spend, get exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help level up your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
You're the one everyone looks to for answers. Come rain or shine, the job must get done, and you're the one who makes it happen. We get you, Jackie in Fresno, putting your employee safety first. And Maddie in Chattanooga, whose local Grainger team knows him by name. We're here for you and all the ones who get it done, with 24/7 customer support and access to product specialists to help you find what you need. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to find out what handheld perfection tastes like? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken today for a flawless family feast with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Get 12 premium tenderloins that are freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to crispy perfection, along with 3 large sides, 6 fluffy biscuits, and 4 of your favorite Lee sauces. This is dippable chicken done right. Get the best in boneless chicken with the 12-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
O'Reilly.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after a mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power, performance, and reliability your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence. Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly.
This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Mine is Kev Nash today. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Mine is Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. We welcome you back. A short show today. We'll hand it off to Tommy Thrawn, the Cowboy, coming up here in about, 22 minutes? 22 minutes. We'll hand it off to Reds spring training action again. The Cincinnati Reds will kick off the season on April 7th, 9 days from now, as they will take on the Atlanta Braves, and that'll be next Thursday, a week from this Thursday. And again, that game was originally scheduled for a first pitch at 7:20. The game has been pushed back to 8 o'clock, as that game will be on ESPN2. So there's that. I would like to think that the Reds they have such a star-filled roster that ESPN was like, we have to get this team on ESPN. We have to get the star-studded Cincinnati Reds team to get ratings. But I think it has more to do with the champs, the Braves. But, I'd like to think that it's the Reds. But coming up here in a few, we'll hear some snippets from our conversation with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy from yesterday's show, as far as that's concerned moving forward. But 518-1410, 518-1410. I have a couple of you on hold. We'll get you guys in just a moment. But yes, that piece about the Reds going head to head with the Braves on ESPN2, that'll be the home opener, not the home opener, but the season opener, if you will. The Reds will open up the season on April 12th at home against the Cleveland Guardians for a mini 2-game series. 4:10 will be the first pitch on the 12th, and then a nooner on the 13th. So I opened up the show, college basketball news. Wright State's Tanner Holden has entered the transfer portal. And we live in a time now where we are told that you are a horrible person if you get frustrated with student athletes who make the decision to enter the transfer portal to go find a better situation. And I understand that. But the thing is that this isn't 15, 20 years ago where you had to play at the premier schools for your talents to be recognized, for your talents to be noticed, for you to ultimately get to where you need to go. And I mean this in a respectful way. Nobody at Wright State is on that roster is NBA bound by any means. I think Tanner Holden has the talent to obviously go to the NBA draft. I say NFL, by the way. If I said NFL, I'm sorry, I got NFL in the mind, but no one's going to go. They're not going to go to the NBA. Okay, nobody. As good as Dayton's roster is, one, maybe two. All right. By the way, heard a really good update on Jalen Crutcher for the Flyers the other day, by the way. He is impressing some people in Charlotte. Let's just put it that way. I mean, that's a guy right there that if he continues trending upwards, his trajectory, he could be in the league to make an impact. And I'm really interested in that. I'm keeping an eye on that. But anyways, ADD all over the place today. But am I that bad of a person for being ticked off? Am I? Seriously. Am I that bad of a person for being upset that this kid who just had a magnificent season, who put Wright State basketball on the map this year, getting the first NCAA tournament win, competing with the 16th seed in Arizona, looking as if they belonged, and now he's using this opportunity to springboard to the next? It's not Tanner Holden necessarily that I'm mad at. It's just the situation of college athletics as a whole. It's a double-edged sword if you are a mid-major team to have any kind of success, because the more success you have, the more talent you have, the more you will be screwed over by it. Coach Nagy is such a good coach and such a good recruiter that he gets penalized for it. Coach Nagy brings guys in that others didn't view in the light that he did, builds them up to the point to where they are, big branded names like Grant Basile, Tanner Holden, and now some other big program is they're going to reap the rewards of all the hard work that Coach Nagy did. Now, that's not taking anything away from the effort that the kids put in, but again, if there's bad coaching, if they're not in a good system, then they wouldn't have been set up to be able to have the success that they did. I sound selfish. I sound horrible. I get that, but man, it's frustrating. My opinions and anger right now is coming from a fan's perspective. I get that, but you know what? It is. Because I could see if these guys were fringe NBA guys that needed to go somewhere where they needed to get the best coaching possible to set them up to get to the league. But you know what? No offense to them, they're just not. You're moving on so you can have 1 year at a Power 5 program. And if it's as simple as I just want the experience of playing in front of a large Power 5 crowd, then more power to you. I can get down with that. I understand that. But every time that the Wright State has any kind of success, they get plucked. Their best players leave. It's frustrating. Coach Nagy has done such a good job. I mean, it's like you have to get just good enough players that you can compete with, but not good enough players that you're to the point where you can't build a program. They can't build a program. How are you supposed to lay out a plan for 4 years? Okay, we have this class coming in. We'll have that position locked up with this guy coming in to be the backup for 2 or 3 years. And then when we recruit this kid as a freshman, he'll need a year or two to develop. And then when this guy graduates, then he'll take over that role. That's how it used to be. You can't do that anymore. You can't build programs anymore. Because every time you think that you have a succession plan from one senior to the next, or at least maybe even a junior, what have you, these guys just bail. But my thing is this too, is like, well, he's been around 3 or 4 years. That's fine. So why can't you just finish the job? You're already here. You've already been here for 3 or 4 years. It was good enough for 3 or 4. Now that you have a chance to be really, really good, now you're going to bounce. I don't want to hear that, well, if he wants to get to the NBA, playing at Wright State's going to keep him from doing that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, like Ja Morant, super talented dude. Pretty sure he didn't play at a high major school. No, he did not. I mean, like I said, I'm sounding like a child right now, and that's fine. I could at least acknowledge that. But that's frustrating to me. Mark Smith says, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. Welcome to the NIL and transfer portal. I don't even think name, image, and likeness has a whole hell of a lot to do with this. I don't think Tanner Holden, there's no Power 5 program out there that Tanner Holden's going to go to and be the guy there. Like, you know what I mean? That's not a shot at him. Like, you're the guy at Wright State. You are the face of that program right now. You're going to go off to where? A Kentucky, a Wisconsin, the same thing for Grant Basile. And then you're just going to be Grant Basile. He's 6'10". Of course he's going to go play at Wisconsin. Yeah, you're one of many 6'10" guys out there. I don't know. I don't know. I'm frustrated. That's the fan in me. That's why I always say, people are like, you're a sports talk radio show, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be bashing these kids. I'm not bashing these kids. It's more frustration based on the system. Like, I don't know how the Coach Nagy's of the world or the Anthony Grants, who's in a different position there, because Anthony Grant has proven he can get guys. When you have an Obi Toppin that's proven that you can go to Dayton and have an All-American type season, Player of the Year, National Coach of the Year for Anthony Grant, and you prove that you could be a lottery pick and get there, not just get there, but succeed like Obi has, that's not something that they necessarily worry about all the time. If these kids are going to Dayton They're going to Dayton as already big-time talents. So Anthony Grant's already won that battle. He's already gotten like a Deron Holmes to come to Dayton over some other big-time programs who were, wanting him to go there. AG won that. Anthony Grant won that battle. So they've going to Dayton. I'm not saying that you never have to worry about these players transferring, but I think that if you have an All-American type player that is committed to go to UD out of high school, the chances of you keeping him are very, very good. And I don't mean keeping him in as in for all 4 years, but I don't think you always have to worry about that star player bolting to a bigger program, because when it's all said and done, I think that Dayton provides obviously the beautiful arena, the atmosphere. You have an NBA type coach in Anthony Grant, of course, a former coach of the year nationally. I'm critical of certain aspects of the coaching style, but it doesn't matter. I'm a no-name dude that does a sports talk radio show that's never coached collegiately, so who cares what my criticisms are as far as that goes? But look, I know what they have over there. Guess what, though? Coach Nagy, very, very good. Very, very good. And he is hurt by when people say, oh man, it's the Daytons that get impacted by the portal. No, Dayton actually benefits from the portal more than anybody, because what Dayton is Dayton provides you that Power 5, that high major experience without being a high major program, because they have high major resources. So for instance, with the Weaver kid at USC, he goes to USC, he falls on his face. He doesn't really thrive there, but he wants to play in a big time program. He wants to have that big time program experience. So guess what? Dayton provides that. It's a step beneath the high majors, the Power 5s, if you will, as far as night-to-night competitive standpoint. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Going up against A-10 players in January through March is not the same as going through the Pac-12 and the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, whatever. But so now Weaver gets to come to Dayton, and he gets to play in front of 13,000 fans. He gets to play for an NBA coach, and he gets to play in these big-time tournaments in the non-con, and he gets to go up against great competition. But then he gets to go up against slightly lesser competition in January through March, which obviously props up his confidence, props up his ability to be able to play at a high level. It's a win-win. Hasn't worked out for him because of injuries, but you see what I'm saying. Dayton benefits from the transfer portal. They're not a victim of the transfer portal. They lose players to the portal, but was the last player that they lost to the portal that you're like, oh man, that really stinks? I mean, you lost the Chase Johnson kid who, whatever reason you believe he left, that you could believe whatever you want. There's a lot of different things out there as why he left. But you know what the thing is? He got, but guess what? They benefited from the portal because he came from Florida to Dayton. Weaver from USC. Oh, man, the poor Dayton Flyers with the transfer portal, they benefit from it. And I'm not ripping them. That's a great thing. That's a great resource to have. When people say, well, that's the day and age we live in, it sucks for teams like Dayton in the day of the transfer portal. No, Dayton actually thrives because of the transfer portal. Wright State is the true victim of the transfer portal, because that's a level no one grows up saying, I can't wait to play Horizon League basketball. And I work for the league, so I'm not trashing the conference. It's just the reality of it. I speak in truths. And the truth is that as of right now, the Horizon League, if a player goes there and has any ounce of success, they gone. So it's like, how do you recruit in the Horizon League? I mean, you almost have to treat the Horizon League is like a community college based on, okay, we got to recruit these kids. We can't redshirt them, because if we redshirt them, that's one less year that we're going to have them, because they're going to be prepping and getting better all while they're during their redshirt year. And then they'll come back their second year, have a good year, and boom, they're gone. But this whole like Grant Basile, Tanner Holden thing at Wright State, it just pisses me off, because it's just one of them things where, yes, I'm happy for them on an individual basis, but at the same time, from a fan's perspective, it's like, what the hell? We're never going to win. And I don't mean win as in just from a black and white, win-loss category type thing. I just mean in general of like, there will never be sustained success. Now, you can argue that there has been sustained success at Wright State, because they've had 5 straight seasons where they've won a championship, whether it be a regular season or a conference tournament title. But Nagy brought in Grant Basile, and for those of you who don't know, the kid looked like he walked like a deer. Like, he had no coordination whatsoever. He was awkward. Like, he just didn't look like a D1 basketball player coming in. Coach Nagy developed him into the star that he was, to now be able to be poached by a Wisconsin or any big name program out there. Tanner Holden, same thing. Now, Tanner Holden's a freak athlete. I mean, he was recruited by Ohio State for football, Mr. Football, in Ohio. He was a fantastic athlete. Really good his freshman year. Even better as next year. Fantastic this year, and would have been, probably a Horizon League Player of the Year next year. I'm not mad at them individually. It's just my frustration stems from the transfer portal. Lamar Shelley says Jacob Toppin went from Rhode Island to Kentucky. Tanner has a chance to play good minutes for the likes of Ohio State or someone similar. That's fine, but like Jacob Toppin, if he was as good as what people say he was, like, don't you think he would thrive better at the A10 level with Rhode Island as opposed to going to Kentucky and just being a highlight dunk every once in a while? Like, he wasn't bad at Kentucky, but he's not Obi. And Tanner, you're going to go to a bigger program, and there's going to be a lot of Tanners there. Grant Basile. Oh, I'm tall. I got to go to a bigger school. There's a lot of tall guys there. In fact, there's guys your height that are point guards and guards. Again, I'm being selfish here. I get that. Dan says, and Coach Nagy will leave when he gets the opportunity to go to a better program, so why shouldn't the players? Dan, stop with the holier than thou. Don't be one of them do-gooders. Well, the coaches can go, so why can't the players? It's not the point. Just because, yes, coaches come and go all the time. And I'll bitch about that too when that time comes. But at the same time, that's not the point. Have you ever thought about some of the reasons that the coaches want to leave is because you can't build at this level? A coach takes over a program, they have success with one recruiting class, and then they bounce after that recruiting class because, hey, the chances of me being able to keep any of these guys for another season, they're going to go to the transfer portal. Then I'm going to win less than 20 games next year. And then fans and critics will be saying, man, maybe has he lost his touch? Does he not know how to coach anymore? No. I know what you're saying. Yes, coaches can come and go. I'm tired of that same worn out, lazy narrative. Well, coaches can come and go. Why can't the players? Well, athletics survived for how many decades of it being a certain way? And I'm not saying it has to go back to being that way, but this whole every year is a free agent thing is just absolutely ridiculous. Because I'm pretty damn sure at this point that if Tanner Holden and Grant Basile transferred and had to sit out a year, they're most likely staying. A lot of players transferred when you had to sit out before. I get that, but not at the level. There's 1,000 players or maybe just a hair under 1,000 players in the transfer portal right now. Right now. There's almost 1,000 players, and the basketball season's not even over with. There's still the Final Four and a national championship game to go through. And there's almost 1,000 players in the transfer portal right now. You mean to tell me that all 1,000 of those all 1,000 of those players, there's greener grass somewhere. I'm one team. My next team's going to get me to the NBA. Stop. Like, the thing is, these kids are made names for themselves at these programs because they had the opportunity to do so with the minutes that were allotted to them and the fact that the competition's a little bit more level. I mean, these transfers, how often do they work out for the better? Elijah Weaver came to Dayton thinking that, well, man, I didn't make it at USC, but man, I can go cut it at Dayton, right? Like, that kid thought that he can come to Dayton and just dominate. He hasn't dominated. The Chase Johnson kid, whatever, the kid from Florida, when he transferred here. Well, I played at Florida. I wasn't bad at Florida. I left because I had concussion issues at Florida, but I'm going to dominate at Dayton. Pretty good at Dayton, by the way. But it's not like you would think that, man, if I'm good enough to play at Florida, I could easily come dominate the A10. He didn't do that. How about Jordy Chimunga? Ginormous body. Came from what? Was it Nebraska that he came from? Nebraska. Came from Nebraska. Big Ten kid, right? Well, if I could, I'm this big old body. I may not have dominated the Big Ten, but I was able to run up and down in the Big Ten. Imagine what I can do in the A10. He was just okay. He didn't dominate. So this idea that, these big players that go to these bigger conferences that come down a level to dominate at that level, they usually don't. And then you have the players who transfer from somewhere small and go up a level, and they think, well, man, I average 20 a game, 20 and 10 at Wright State. You're probably going to average 7 and 4. Actually, Tanner Holden probably going to average around 12 to 14 in that range, but still, he's very good. I'm not mad at the kids themselves. It's just the era of which that we live in now when it comes to college athletics. You get penalized. Coach Nagy, the better of a coach he is, the more he gets screwed in today's basketball. So when he takes that job elsewhere, I don't blame him. Coach Nagy, get to a bigger program that when you develop a player, they stick around more and have a little bit more loyalty to that brand of basketball. I mean, are Tanner and Grant not loyal? I don't know if that's necessarily fair. Grant was here for 4 years. The kids aren't the problem, but you know what? It's the system I have a problem with. They're going to catch the brunt of the anger from fans, but it's the system that's the problem. This idea that you could just transfer without sitting out a year, that's weird to me. That's weird to me. And by the way, that was put in place so you didn't have mass chaos like this. But coaches can come and go. Coaches, that's their profession. Anthony Grant left the NBA, his job, to take another job. His job is to coach basketball. These players, this is not their job. They're actually supposed to, I mean, they're D1 players. They are players on a team that they are taking advantage of while they're going to school. Just because they are not going to school for the reasons that you're supposed to be going to school for does not change the fact that there should be some kind of system in place to keep this mass free agency from happening. Damon Hahn says, you hated when I proposed. That is how Wright State was going to have to go that route. What are you talking about, Damon? Rephrase that question, man. I'm not following. Lamar says, if you could do away with only one, would you choose the transfer portal or the one and done? As a Duke fan, my players are transferring to the NBA too early. But the difference is when you recruit one and dones at the level that Duke does, Duke knows, okay, if I can go and get a one and done player and build around that Zion Williams, and I know Zion and Luke Kennard didn't play together, but like, you want to know what makes up those great Duke teams? It's the Luke Kennards of the world that are going to give you that 2 to 3 years. It's not fair. You're never going to get 4 good quality years anymore. Okay. So they had to adjust it. We're going to go get 2 or 3 of these one and done potential guys, and we're going to build them with the glue guys, the guys that were a part of the program for 2 or 3 years. So you have these one and dones that come and go, but you have the glue guys that have been mainstays of the program for a few years. I don't mind the one and done. The transfer portal is a disaster. It's a disaster. It's made kids uncoachable because what you tell a kid what to do, they want to bounce. You tell a kid, hey, you didn't work hard enough on that play. Give me a down and back. You want me to run, coach? You know who I am? You know how many other schools wanted me and I chose you over them? I bet they wouldn't make me run. I'm bouncing. I'm out. That's the mentality of athletes nowadays. And I'm not saying that's what Basile and Holden were, but by any means, I'm just saying, like, that's just the nature of it. Coaches know it. You're not coaching kids anymore. You're massaging egos 24/7. It's as simple as that. But yeah, man, I wish we had more time today because it is what it is. All right. We'll step away for a few. That wraps it up. A much shorter show today. I apologize. But we will be at it full time tomorrow. Throughout the week, I'm excited, of course, because we're going to be catching up with Bree Hall, who's part of the Final Four team of South Carolina, former Wayne Warrior. I'm excited to catch up with her this week. Also, Tamika Williams-Jeter, the new head coach of the Dayton Flyers women's basketball team. So happy for her. We'll catch up with her this week as well. I'm excited for the guest list for the remainder of the week. And we got Reds baseball coming up next right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.